Fall armyworm. Anytime a farmer hears these two words, he falls back to the sickening thought of a creature capable of turning his or her life upside down. Farmers in Kenya have desperately been trying several means to fight these destructive pests in their maize crops to little or no success. They put in practice measures, both traditional and modern, such as the use of neem-based solutions, ash, and pesticides. Pesticides have proved very ineffective due to their toxicity to plant, animal, and human life, and the fact that pests easily develop resistance to them. The most thoughtful way to control the pests recommended by experts is the use of biological means, which, apart from being very effective, is also friendly to the environment. It is for this reason that PlantVillage, through the Dream Team Agro Consultancy Limited in collaboration with USAID's Current and Emerging Threats to Crops, set up a parasitoids rearing lab at Alupe University in Busia County, Kenya. Brenda Cheptoo is one of the leads in charge of the daily activities in the lab that never closes its doors.
My name is Brenda Cheptoo, USAID Parasitoid Project Lead from the Dream Team Agro Consultancy Limited. We have a lab here at Alupe University College. The lab became functional in October 2021. We are a team of 9, 6 ladies and 3 gentlemen. Our aim is to produce 30 million parasitoids to be released in 10 counties.
Rearing parasitoids in the lab starts by establishing a fall armyworm colony by collecting larvae from the field and then inoculating them in natural or artificial diet in lunch boxes or vials until pupation. The larvae are then transferred to emergence and oviposition cages, a process that follows successive and carefully executed steps that involve feeding and taking care of the organisms through the larval, pupal, and adult stages, where they lay eggs that will eventually be glued on cards ready for parasitism. To avoid contamination, fall armyworm larvae collected from the field have to be reared for up to 2 generations in the lab before the eggs are exposed for parasitism. Franklin Areba is Brenda's colleague at the lab.
Okay, so the first activity in the fall armyworm rearing facility is first what we do before we expose the eggs to the parasitoids. We first of all harvest the eggs from the oviposition cages. Then after that we do early in the morning. After that, now we do card preparation. So we prepare the cards. Then for the eggs, then we expose the cards to the fall armyworm. So what is taking place right now is the card preparation. You can see the cards here. So this is the cards. So these cards, one has approximately 10,000 to 12,000 eggs. So one card can have up to 40 egg masses. Okay, so this is the activity. So this is card measurement and the cutting. Now this is the card preparation. So the next activity now will be exposing the cards to the parasitoids. So this is the fall armyworm oviposition and rearing room for the natural diet. So we have cages. So these cages are used for oviposition. So we collect egg masses from these cages every morning. Okay, so this cage holds up to 100 moths. That is 50 pairs, 2 pairs, 50-50. So we harvest the eggs from these cages. So we prepare the cards. Then now we glue the egg masses to the cards using a non-toxic and safe glue, white glue. So we leave for 10 minutes so that the glue to dry. Then before that, for the fall armyworm eggs, we don't have to radiate. We just expose to the parasitoids. But for the Cocera that's the alternative host for the trichogramma, one parasitoid. We have to radiate for 10 to 15 minutes. Then now we expose to the trichogramma. We use the same glue to glue the eggs. So the reason we radiate Phoceras cephalonica eggs is to soften the shell and also to kill the embryo, so that if by chance the eggs are not parasitized, the larvae don't feed on the already parasitized eggs.
Amidst all this comes the tedious work of preparing a natural diet for the fall armyworm larvae, which Frank says consumes a lot of time and requires the input of the whole team.
So what we are actually doing here is we are sorting and also providing the fall armyworm with fresh diet. So these are daily activity. We do this every day. We provide fresh diet every day to prevent cannibalism and also to prevent infections, because once the diet stays in the lunchbox for more than 2 days because of the heat, so the fall armyworm may develop infections. So to avoid that, we provide fresh diet every day. For the neonates, we provide tender leaves. So after sorting, we also do pupae harvesting from the natural diet, though the survival rate for the pupae is always less compared to the artificial diet. So for the mass production, we have an alternative of using the artificial diet.
Apart from the natural diet, there is also the artificial diet given to the larvae. Preparing it is equally time-consuming and procedural, as well as requires some level of expertise, which Brenda Cheptoo has mastered. All she needs for the larvae delicacy is found in the kitchen: a supply of beans, brewer's yeast, wheat germ, an electric cooker, a weighing balance, utensils and ingredients. The recipe is at her fingertips. One would easily confuse the meal for some nutritious porridge. Of course it is nutritious, Brenda says, but only meant for nurturing the parasitoids ahead of the important task of fighting fall armyworm in the field.
This is fraction B of the diet. This is a mixture of distilled water and agar. So we're boiling it to boiling point and we cool it to 60 degrees before we mix it with the fraction A of the diet. So we are mixing fraction A and fraction B of the diet. This is the gel and the other component of the diet.
The food is cooked with the help of a section of the team at the lab into a porridge-like mixture, and when ready, it is dispensed into vials fashionably arranged in the diet infestation room.
Now we want to dispense the diet to the vials. So this diet is balanced. It has vitamin, protein, carbohydrates, minerals. So its advantage is that larval formation is faster and shorter. It takes less than 14 days to complete its cycle. Pupation is up to 80 to 90%. Pupae formed is good quality. In matters of weight, has good weight. Moth emergence is high and has high fecundity.
Valentine Ngoji is the third most important talent at the lab. She explains that the vials are then covered with cotton wool to absorb excess moisture from the diet and prevent fall armyworm larvae from escaping.
So what we have here are inoculated fall armyworm larvae in artificial diet, and the reason as to why we use cotton to cover the vials is because the cotton absorbs moisture and also has good aeration. Besides that, it prevents the fall armyworm larvae from escaping from the vials. What's taking place here is the inoculation process, and what we inoculate is the neonates, the young ones of fall armyworm, or the first instar that is 1 to 3 days old. After inoculation, it takes less than 14 days to complete its larval stage and pupates.
Once the pupa are harvested, they are transferred to emergence and oviposition cages where they are provided with moisture and fed with 50% honey after emergence.
So these are the pupa we've harvested from the vials. And we place them in the emergence cages where they take 7 to 9 days to emerge into moths, and from here we harvest our eggs.
Frank says the cages are made up of clear perspex sheets to make them visible during egg harvesting and nets for ventilation. The eggs will then be glued onto cards specially prepared, which hold between 10,000 to 12,000 eggs. The eggs are then exposed to parasitoids for parasitism and transported to the field for release at pupal and adult stages.
So once we harvest the pupae, we place the pupae inside the cages. So inside this cage, we provide some moisture we soak a cotton wool inside a petri dish so that we provide the fall armyworm with the required moisture, that's humidity. So humidity should be around 75%. So that's why we use the cotton wool soaked inside the water. Then we also provide them with honey. So we also soak another cotton wool on the petri dish. Then now the fall armyworm moths feed on the honey. So what we actually do is we harvest our eggs from these cages. So inside this cage we use a grease-proof paper so that the fall armyworm lays their eggs on the paper. So when we harvest, we just cut the egg masses from that, then we use that to prepare our cards. So these cages, so one cage has approximately 100 to 200 moths. So we harvest that daily. Then we also do keep our pupae inside there before they emerge and become moths now. So this is an oviposition and emergence cage. So the fall armyworm emerges from this cage, they mate, then now they lay eggs inside this cage. So fall armyworm they prefer to lay their eggs during night, so that's why we use a dark room, we use a dark curtain so that we provide that darkness so that they may lay their eggs.
The lab has already given out more than 25 million egg parasitoids to fight fall armyworm in 10 counties in Kenya, a project that is proving very effective. Brenda Chepto says this is only but the beginning, as they target to release 30 million in subsequent phases this season alone.